But for a person with a modest income or a middle class income who just needs to get their taxes done, you do not get the systems and the help and the education that you need to stop the cycle of pain. So let's talk about what that cycle of pain looks like. And then I want to talk to you about kind of why it happens and what you can do about it. Welcome to the Sunlight Podcast. In this show, we're talking about taxes, money, and careers for self-employed people who have a big vision for changing the world with their work. I'm your host, Hannah Cole, artist, tax pro, and the founder of Sunlight Tax. If you're a creative or soul-centered entrepreneur or wellness practitioner who wants to grow your business sustainably, manage your taxes, and build a stash of fuck you money so you can control your time and have a bigger impact with your work, you are in the right place. Hello, beautiful. It is a gorgeous fall day here in Asheville, North Carolina, and I hope you are doing well wherever you are. Today, I want to talk to you about why you might be getting stuck at tax time. There is what I like to call a cycle of pain that I witness over and over again. And when I was doing tax preparation for creative people, I just found that my clients would, especially people coming to me, would just get stuck in the same boat every year, year after year after year. And it is the reason behind why I have pivoted what I do into education. Like this reason, this is the why, because the way that our tax prep system works in this country is it's a volume business, and accountants essentially are like filter feeders. They just take everyone they can. If you're running a tax prep business, you want to take as many clients as you can, and you want to do those tax returns as fast as you can. That's the only sustainable economic model for a tax prep company that is only doing tax prep. Or you have to upcharge for a bunch of other services, or you can charge a lot of money, then you can kind of give more education. So if you're paying a lot of money to an accountant for advisory services, which is not something that is generally included when you do a tax return. If you're paying a lot of money for advisory services, then you will get the education, then you will get the hand-holding that you need to stay out of the cycle. But for a person with a modest income or a middle-class income who just needs to get their taxes done, you do not get the systems and the help and the education that you need to stop the cycle of pain. So let's talk about what that cycle of pain looks like. And then I want to talk to you about kind of why it happens and what you can do about it. All right. So let's get started. So the cycle of pain that I'm talking about looks something like this. You're getting started, you just put your shingle out, you're getting started, whether it's freelancing or a new business. In either case, you are self-employed. You're working for yourself. You're starting to make some money, right? So this is actually a really wonderful thing. And the cycle of pain happens to people who are making money. You begin to start making money, but you're really busy, right? Because that's what happens when you start a small business. It is incredibly difficult. You have to handle marketing and sales and building a website, maybe building a team. Maybe that comes later, maybe you don't. But managing, what your product is or your offering is, how to communicate that, managing the money coming in and going out, like all the little technical things, right? You have so much to do that taxes feel like a later thing, right? You put them off and you're like, tax day is going to come, I'll deal with it then, right? I mean, most of us do this, myself included when I was starting out. So this happens, but if it's a year where you actually started making real money, what happens is you tend to underestimate how much tax you owe. Now, this is the reason why. Self-employed people tend to underestimate their taxes because they don't have the education to understand that self-employment tax is a major factor, okay? Self-employment tax, just for the record, is your payment into Medicare and Social Security when you're self-employed. Now, if you're an employee and you are paid, and you're given a W-2, then Your employer pays one half of your Medicare and Social Security in the form of payroll taxes. You have the other half, 7.65% of your pay, taken out of every single paycheck and paid into your Medicare and Social Security. So you have effectively 15.3% of your pay going into your Medicare and Social Security accounts, but you only pay for half of it. Your boss pays the other half. Unfortunately, what happens when you're self-employed is a lot of us don't realize that as the boss, we now owe, in addition to that employee half, that 7.65% of our profit that we must pay in to Medicare and Social Security, we also must pay in an additional 7.65% as the boss, right? You add those two numbers together, you get 15.3%. And that, my friends, that is called self-employment tax. Self-employment tax is your payment into your Medicare and Social Security account. It's a good thing. It means that you have money coming to you when you retire one day and medical care. These are positive things. You wouldn't want to be without Medicare. And so it's really wonderful, but you are both the employee and the boss. And so you're going to have to pay both halves. There is no one else to pay it, right? But because there's no tax education in this country, a lot of us don't realize that that tax affects us until we owe the bill, right? The thing you are probably aware of is that you're going to owe income tax. You know, you might have taken a moment, looked up an income tax calculator online, and you might have actually even guesstimated what tax you owe according to, just income tax, but you forgot to add on top of that self-employment tax, which is in addition to your income tax. All right. That is the reason that when you're self-employed and when you haven't studied this stuff, your tax bill tends to come as such a big surprise and be so much higher than you expected it to be. Okay. So that's the first problem. You wait, this cycle of pain, you wait, you get that bill, and then you realize it's way bigger than you expected. And you're like, oh shit, oh my God, what am I going to do? Right? And so at that point, you're still busy and you do everything you can to scrape all your spare cash together to try to pay that bill that's bigger than you thought. And meanwhile, all your tasks in your business are piling up and you need to get back to the tasks. You don't take the time to figure out what happened and why and put measures in place to prevent it happening the next year. But here's the problem. It's going to, right? Taxes are going to come every year. This will be a problem every year. And the next year, the problem gets even worse because the next year, you are now mandated. You have now tripped the threshold of owing $1,000. And by the way, that is the threshold. Once you owe $1,000 on your tax return, the following year, you must pay quarterly taxes. That's for good reason. And quarterly taxes really are your friend because they prevent tax debt. But again, if you don't get the education about what they are, how they work, and that they apply to you and are mandatory by law, then you're not going to pay them. So now, on top of accumulating a big full annual tax bill, yet again, for the second time, after you're trying to still manage this big tax payment that you hadn't planned for, now you're incurring penalties and interest because you're missing the quarterly tax deadlines, right? And the problem with tax prep in this country, or just doing, working with an accountant at the lowest fee that they have available, is that you are not getting any education about how this works or the systems that you need to put in place to make sure it never happens again. Okay. But I am here with some good news. It is possible to put systems into place that prevent this cycle of pain from continuing, right? What you need is to set up a system of tracking your numbers, knowing what your profit is, being able to make real-time calculations about what tax you owe for the quarter. You don't have to even do this every month. You only have to do it once per quarter, but you need to do it in time for those quarterly tax deadlines, and you need to proactively make that tax payment every quarter. And when you do that, there's real magic in it because It means you're prepaying your taxes, right? So what that means is once you get on top of paying your estimated quarterly taxes, you might be a little wrong in the number, and that's okay. I want you to pay attention to the word estimate in the title. So estimating is the name of the game. It's what's expected. It's what you're meant to do. And it's okay to be a little bit off. Genuinely, it's okay. But you are essentially prepaying your taxes, and every dollar you prepay in the form of a quarterly tax payment comes off your tax bill next April. And so literally, because you're aiming to cover the whole amount in the 4 quarters before April 15th, what that means is on April 15th, if you've done it right, you should not get a tax bill at all. And that is beautiful. That is where you end that cycle of pain. And it's a really positive thing to do. It will help you in your business. And the time you spent educating yourself about how it works and setting up some very simple systems is time well spent that will help you manage your cash flow in your business so it doesn't fail because you get a bill that's so big you can't pay. All right. Now, I know that feels a little bit scary to talk about. If this is new to you, if you're new to my podcast, you might be like, oh my God, what? But I'm here because I am myself an artist, a creative person, a small business person who has been in this position, felt the pain, and had hundreds, thousands of clients in this position too. And it's what I built my program to solve. Okay. And so I want to extend an invitation to you if you're listening to this and thinking like, you know what, I think I need a little refresh on that stuff, or this is brand new to me and I just need to have my eyes opened and see what I might be able to do about this. I want to invite you to a class that I'm offering on September 25th. It's a live class. It's free, and I'm going to talk to you about the simple systems you need to set up to get on top of this cycle of pain, okay? These systems are not difficult. They're very, very simple. In fact, they're simpler than most of what is out there. And I designed them specifically for creative people or visionary people running businesses that have a mission that is bigger than money. And I know that you're busy. The whole point is not to bog you down in a bunch of tax detail. It's to get you very simple systems that will keep you out of the pain. Okay. So if you're interested in coming to this class and learning about those systems, I'm going to have a link in the show notes to register, but you can also register at go.sunlighttax.com/free. I'm also going to be talking to you about some, investing principles and compound interest and just getting you excited about the cool stuff you can do when you're on top of your taxes, which is save a ton of money inside of tax advantaged accounts. That's a whole other thing, but it's awesome. And it's also in this free class. So come learn about the simple systems. I encourage you to sign up if you just want to refresh your brain about what you need and why you need it. If you've heard all this before, come and get refreshed, get re-energized. Maybe you are realizing like, I got to kind of like tap back into that world. Come to the class. If you're brand new to this, come to the class and learn, have your eyes open in a very empathetic, judgment-free way. And I'll help you figure out what your next steps are. All right. So you can register at go.sunlighttax.com/free. And I will see you in class on September 25th. Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review. It really helps, and share it with a friend. I'm so grateful. This podcast is for education and entertainment only. Nothing in this episode should be taken as individual tax or financial advice. You can find all the tools, books, and links we reference at sunlighttax.com/podcast.